he understood from the get-go we were interested in recruiting the young man that we recruited out of high school. And obviously he's had a few issues at K-State over the course of the last year that we dug into. And, I felt like in meeting with him and in getting together with his family, that he wants a fresh start, that he understands he's made some mistakes and wants to try to create a new life for himself in Creighton. And, we knew him well enough and had enough belief in him and confidence in him that, I think he can help us, and at the same time we can help him.
I guess having the past relationship, did that make it easier this second time around to try to get him here?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. I think I think Marcus was looking for somebody that he had trust in, and I think because we recruited him essentially for 2 years, and we're 6 days away from him having his official visit out of high school, and he called to cancel the visit to say that he was committed to K-State. We didn't blow a gasket. We didn't go crazy. We handled it like we did the whole process, wished him the best, and you never know when things like this are going to happen. So I think. That relationship was strong enough from when we built it a few years ago that he felt comfortable when he was looking to make a move that we were going to be the first place he looked at.
And that relationship that you had built from the first time around, obviously, like you said, he's had some issues. There's a little bit of baggage that he carries here. Having known him before, did that make it easier for you to jump right in and say, this is the guy?
It does, because I know his upbringing, and we know his family, and we know what his family's expectations are of him. So I hope this can be a win-win. I hope Marcus takes advantage of a second chance and a new life from a basketball standpoint, and he can be someone that can bring some offensive punch to our lineup when he becomes eligible. That's really going to help us. He was a guy as a freshman. He guarded the other team's best player. He averaged 15, 16 a game in the Big 12. So he's capable of a lot. The key is how much better can we get him over the next year and a half.
How tough is it when something like that happens? You got a guy coming in, you spent so much time, cultivating that relationship, and then he says, "Well, I'm going to go somewhere else." How tough is it not to blow a gasket in those situations?
Well, I just never have, because I'm not sure it does anybody any good except for makes you feel good for like 30 seconds. And then you realize, I probably shouldn't have handled it like that. So we've just kind of made it a rule that we're not going to react to that, because I just don't think that speaks well of our program if that's our reaction. If people make decisions for crazy reasons, and as college coaches, the reality of it is we get told no a lot more than we get told yes. It's kind of like me at home when I ask my wife for something. Same deal. I'm used to being rejected when I want something in our house. So same thing in recruiting. You get told no a lot. And as I tell a lot of the young people we recruit, the best thing you can tell me is yes. Second best thing you can tell me is no, so that we can move on and go on to the next person on our list.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we haven't asked about Kyhri Thomas and him bringing him to the fold. That's a nice local flavor to add, and somebody who can help you guys out.
I think he is a diamond in the rough. I really do. And obviously people in Omaha realize how good a high school player he was. But just his development over the course of the last year at Fort Union has been really impressive. I think the experience there has taught him a lot of things on and off the floor because of the discipline it requires to go to a military school like that. He's in full uniform all day long, and you don't miss anything. You're on time and ready to go. So I think he's grown up a lot in that sense, like any of us would be put in that situation. But I think basketball-wise, he's gotten stronger. I think he can be an elite defender, and I think offensively he's just going to keep getting better and better. So we couldn't be more excited to have him joining us. We've recruited him all year. He almost signed early. He decided he wanted to wait. So to finally get him in the fold is something we're really happy about.
Maybe not so much Kyhri question, but in big picture, broad brush, so many transfers. It seems like that is just the number of transfers from year in, year out, and the willingness to, hey, that's just college basketball in this day and age? Is that what we're looking into?
Unfortunately, yes. It's changed our jobs. You've got kids out of high school and prep school in the overseas market. You've got some junior college recruiting. You've got the transfers, and you've got the fifth-year transfers that are eligible right away. So there's a lot of parts to recruiting. The fifth-year transfer and the transfer market did not exist to the level that it does today, even 4 or 5 years ago. So there's a new transfer out there every day. So I think you have to be cognizant as to what's going on, although it's not something I want to live and die with. I think it's allowed us to bring our talent level to a Big East level quicker, but I'd still rather do it with high school kids day in and day out if we can do that. So when you have a chance to add a player with the ability of Maurice Watson or Cole Huff or Marcus Foster, you can't say no. I mean, these are guys that are going to impact your program in a positive way. But still, I want the nuts and bolts of our program to come from the young high school guys we recruit.
Are you finding your program maybe a little more attractive to guys who have maybe been in another system for a couple of years and when they're looking around?
I think the fact that we play fast, that there's a lot of freedom in our offensive system, that we shoot a lot of threes, that we play in front of 17,000 people every game. And then when you get an opportunity to come here, when we had Oklahoma State, Indiana, Oregon, Wisconsin practice in our facility, and some of their players are taking photos of our lounge and locker room and how nice it is. When you get people here, this is a special place in that regard from our facility standpoint. So I think it's an attractive place to go if you're at a Division I school and maybe basketball isn't that important there, even if it's another BCS school. To go somewhere where they really care about basketball has been a big selling point, for Maurice, for Cole, and certainly for Marcus.
But I mean, obviously, a lot of times you might lose a recruiting battle to a named school. Are you finding guys on the transfer market are a little less attracted to that, more attracted to nuts and bolts?
I think they're really attracted to the right fit. Oftentimes when guys transfer, either it's number one, maybe you're at a smaller school like Maurice was, and you want to give the big time a shot. That's one reason. But another one, I think in Cole's situation, Mountain West is a very good level of basketball. But he was able to watch what Ethan and Doug were able to do as a power forward, small forward in our system. That's who he is. So our program became very attractive to him. So I think there's a system fit. Oftentimes too, transfers, they go away from home, there's a tendency to go back closer to home the second time. Obviously, we're located in the center of the country, but we're not located around a whole bunch of guys where guys are necessarily coming home to play at Creighton. So I think we've been well received, but there's been also other transfers we've called that we've tried to get involved with if we can. So I think they have a picture in their mind, probably more so than a high school kid, of exactly what they want because they've been through it already. And if we don't fit that, then you don't spend a lot of time and waste a lot of time.
You mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you really hadn't had that much experience with transfers in the past. I mean, there's only been a handful that have played for you. I guess how much of a philosophical shift do you have to make to start thinking?
Well, I think you're a fool if you don't. Just because there's such a big pool of guys that are available every year, and sometimes you have a position need. We're going to lose James Milliken, and it's a perfect time for Marcus to come in. If it's a point guard right now, that doesn't make as much sense because we've got Maurice sitting here for 2 years, and then Marlon coming in. So it still becomes what your program needs. You don't want to get in a situation where you bring a senior in on top of a senior or something like that and impact someone that's been in your program that's paid their dues. I think it's something that we have to continue to look at. Like I said, I don't want it to be the majority of our recruiting, but I think it's something that needs to complement what we're doing with high school players.
And on that front, is it easier to broach scheduling now, being a member of the Big, having gone through this a couple times, or is it a little different dynamic?
No, it's easier. I think all you have to do is look at the Oklahoma series.
Right.
I think Coach Kruger would tell you if we were still in the Valley, that series would have never happened. We'll start a series with Arizona State next year. Certainly the Gavitt game's going to Indiana as a game that we wouldn't be involved with if we're still in the Valley. So right now we've got enough good ones. I want a few cupcakes on there if I can find them. So, but it's exciting for our fans. It's the type of basketball that our fans want to see, and we'll have a challenging schedule next year, but it'll be fun for our team.
Is the schedule done for next
We're
year?
close to putting it all together. Still waiting on some of the things from the Vegas tournament. But the Gavitt games was the last big piece that we had to plug in there.
you have any say in that?
Zero.
Yeah, they say you're going here like it.
It's kind of just like home again, right back to that.
Were you thinking that obviously two Big East teams sit out this year? Did they give you any indication from the get-go that you'd be in, or
We knew we would be in. Whenever we did it, I can't remember if it was last year, the summer meetings, we talked about it. We knew we would be in. We knew we would be on the road. We were trying to, as best we can, if we're playing Nebraska at home, let's go on the road for the Gavitt games. If Nebraska's on the road, we prefer to be at home instead of having two road games in the same year against a Big Ten school. So it worked out this year. Whether that'll work out in the future, I don't know.
is there any chance for reciprocity in these games?
I think that would be a 10-second phone call if I call Coach Crean, and I think 8 seconds of it would be hello, and 2 seconds would be no.
I was going to say yes. Yes would require 2 seconds too.
So no, I think it's going to be much like you see in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. We'll have a Big Ten team will play 6 times in the next 8 years, 3 at home and 3 on the road. But I don't think it.